This season has truly been a season of upsets. I'm pretty sure every game last week was an upset. We ended up picking two of them. We backed Newcastle to get over the Panthers and the Raiders to barely scrape by the Warriors at Go Media, and those were some decent reads. As for the other three matches, I was fairly confident in the Bulldogs. Sure, they were missing players, but they had a decent system. But if we've learned anything from the Bulldogs, it's that they can't play with the footy. As for Manly, we called it earlier in the season that they had no presence through the middle. They were pretty soft through the middle, in fact, and their forward pack got dominated. And I've got to say, I was pretty stoked to see Dean Hawkins have a standout game. He's had a pretty rough go since getting reps in first grade, and it was nice to see him capitalize off the successes of our Paris forward pack. They were immense. And then the Sharkies at full strength going down to the Roosters. You want to talk about missing players, the Chooks had some classy players unavailable and they shut the Sharks out pretty early, capitalizing off their ill discipline. I think the Sharks gave away like 5 penalties in the first half, but the matches were great. I saw a lot of donuts being collected, so I'm actually happy with my 2 upsets that I predicted. Anyway, we've got 7 games to preview. Let's go ahead and take a look at how they line up and make some picks. Alright, so we kick off the round with one game on Friday where the 10th ranked St. George take on the 14th ranked Newcastle, this being played at Jubilee Stadium. And as we take a look at ins and outs for St. George, they will be without Dylan Egan and Corey Allen as they welcome back Toby Couchman and Christian Dui-Bolotu to their respective positions. Looking at Newcastle, they'll be without Adam Elliott and Paul Bryan as Kalen Ponga is set to back up, and also Jack Hetherington and Leo Thompson will be in the 17 as well. I don't really have many thoughts on this matchup. I will be taking St. George in this. Both teams have been well below par this season. It's kind of insane that St. George have the same amount of wins as Newcastle, given Newcastle have been struggling to put points on the board in general. And looking at their previous meetings, this is actually a fixture that Newcastle do like, as they have beaten them in previous years. But yeah, like I was saying, I will be taking St. George at home, and we are going to go 1 to 12 points. I think Newcastle will make it a little difficult for them coming off last week's win. Tobago meet Pie, St. George do love coming down this left side, so I would have preferred my boy Dylan Egan, who's, like I said, unavailable, but we're going to go one out further and take Valentine Holmes. And to kick off Super Saturday, we head over to Seabus Super Stadium where the 16th ranked Titans take on the 4th ranked Storm. Looking at the ins and outs for the Titans, first up, they'll be without Josiah Bahulu, who has been signed effective immediately to the Melbourne Storm, by the way. I would have loved to see him line up against his old club that did do him dirty. If you know, you know. On the ins list for the Titans, they welcome back Brian Kelly and Jacob Arlick. Looking at the Storm, they do have the same 17 that fell to, who was it, Cronulla before the bye? And yeah, all the Origin players are looking to back up. As for our pick, it does seem clear-cut. I honestly don't see a pathway to victory for the Gold Coast Titans, but this season you just never know. We can take a quick look at head-to-head at least. It's an overwhelming lead, 21 wins from 28 played for the Storm. I'm going to back them in to get a pretty convincing win, so 13 plus. And to score a try, we will be on back rower Eliesa Katoa. Game 2 for Super Saturday takes us to Queensland Country Bank Stadium where the 7th ranked Cowboys take on the 12th ranked West Tigers. So looking at the ins and outs for the home side, they have the Origin players backing up. I'm trying to see if, yes, they have persisted with a halves pairing of Jackson Purdue with Tom Dearden. Jay Clifford remains an 18th man, and on the wing they have Jackson Paulo, new recruit filling in for Murray Ta'ulangi. Looking at the Tigers, they're obviously without Lockie Galvin, who has signed to the Bulldogs, and filling in at number 6 for the moment will be Heath Mason, a player that has looked good for them filling in at fullback in the past. So the Cowboys are the overwhelming favourites in this match, and looking at both teams' form heading in, they're both coming off a couple of losses. Looking at their stats, they're actually quite similar. I actually fancy an upset here. Just comparing the sides, this new halves combination of Purdue and Dearden only produced 6 points the last time they played a couple of weeks ago. I'm looking for a big game out of Jerome Luai and the Tigers in general after the departure of Lockie Galvin, so we'll go Tigers 1 to 12 and Turuva to score. The final game for Saturday takes us to 4 Pines Park where the Sea Eagles host the Broncos. For Manly, they'll be without Turbo and Susiwa Taukeaho. And joining the 17, they welcome back Cherry Evans, expected to back up Josh Aloiai, Ben Drabojevic, and Tommy Talau. Looking at the visitors, they do have their Origin stars backing up in Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas, and there's been a shuffle to the back line with Jesse Arthurs going to fullback, Cobbo back to the wing, and lastly Big Ben Takura will be replacing Fletcher Baker, who has been dropped. So it's 8th playing 9th in this matchup, and it's been a pretty disappointing year, especially for the Broncos, who currently staring down the barrel of a 4-game losing streak. I'm going to be backing them to get back in the winning column this game. I would have been iffy on it if Payne and Paddy weren't backing up, but with them in the side, I do think they can dominate the middle. And saying that, if you're liking Manly, the Broncos have only won 2 out of 9 games played here, so if you like that home field advantage cheese, go right ahead. I'm going to be taking the Broncos, though. I do think they snapped this losing streak, and to get on the board, I'm going to back Ezra Mam to get in again, coming up against a down on confidence DCE. And kicking off the first of 3 for Sunday, we have the Bunnies playing host to the Waz. And of course, Accor Stadium. Looking at the ins and outs, the Bunnies have made one change as they welcome back Sean Kippie. He pushes Liam LeBlanc to 18th man, and looking at the Warriors, they have a huge inclusion of James Fisher-Harris back into the front row, as well as Rocco Berry back playing at center. They also have, both teams have origin players backing up. So I want to keep this one short and sweet. I do think the Waz do get the job done here on the road. They've had a decent record on the road as of late, and with the return of Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett, I do think they'll cause some problems through the middle of the field. Like all of the Warriors wins in their previous 5 matches, I do think it'll be a pretty close game, so we'll go 1-12. To bag a meat pie, we're going to go with Leka Halasima, who has reverted to the bench. He's been used as a decoy a lot lately, and yeah, let's see if we can make a splash coming off the pine. Game 2 for Sunday, we have an intriguing game here between the Panthers and the Eels. Pretty much a home game for the Eels, seeing as it is being played at Combank Stadium, the temporary home for the Panthers. And as far as the ins and outs are concerned, all you need to know is that Mitch Moses is playing, Cleary, all the origin players are playing. The only real notable player on the outs list is on the side of Parramatta with Will Bensini, missing due to that concussion he suffered. So Jordan Samrani will remain in the centres, and Joash Papali will come off the pine. Alright, so I say intriguing because form-wise heading into this, Parramatta's forward pack have actually looked pretty good. Have they looked good enough for me to tip an upset? No. Penrith are desperate for wins right now, and I really can't see them dropping many games with their full-strength squad, so I will be on the side of the Panthers. 1-12 points, I do think Parramatta will make it difficult. And to score a try, we are going to go with, I want to do something I don't usually do and take an opposite player. Give me Zach Lomax. The dude is on fire at the moment. And in the final match of the round, we have the Roosters hosting the Raiders at Allianz Stadium. Much like every other team, the Roosters do have their origin stars backing up. And on the outs list for the Raiders, they'll be without Tom Starling. So, rookie hooker Owen Paddy gets the start, and joining the bench is Danny Levy in the 14. So in what will be the match of the round, let's take a look at the head-to-head. Roosters do have the advantage, winning 29 out of 46 played, and both teams are 1-1 from last season. Their form guide heading into this, Roosters riding a high, beating the full-strength Sharks by 13+, and the Raiders currently 4 from their previous 5, coming into this match riding back-to-back wins. A tough game to pick, but I will slightly lean towards the home side in this. They are slowly on the rise, and Hugo Savala's kicking game's actually been pretty impressive. Working on the back of this forward pack that's returning from Origin, I think it'll be a pretty close contest up against the Raiders, who have been a nightmare for teams playing through the middle. So we're going to go 1-12 points, and to score a try will be on Mark Nawangani Tawase, who's been on a bit of a heater as of late. Back playing on the Sting, he's hard to look past. And that about wraps up my tips and predictions for round number 13. As always, if you have any tips and predictions of your own, let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to run the like button, and for more rugby league related content, more content in general, go ahead and drop your boy a cheeky sub. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.